Welcome back to Radical Music Reviews. Just before we start, quick shout out to number 30, Steph Curry. All-time three-point shooter. And my jersey just came today. Awesome. Okay, so I've skipped a few records on the way to the artist I'm going to review. I've skipped past Boston. This is a great album. It's iconic. Everybody knows Boston. It's a little overplayed, like a lot of this stuff is, but it is very good. I've got some Blue Rodeo. I've got a couple Blue Rodeo albums. I don't mind Blue Rodeo, actually. They've got a nice kind of mellow country feel to them. Blood, Sweat, and Tears. Now, I might come back to Blood, Sweat, and Tears because I think they're a fantastic band. Clarence Clayton Thomas, the lead singer, just a remarkable voice, really great band. But the next artist I'm going to talk about is it's going to be hard to review. He is one of the most eclectic artists that I have. He has done like 25, 30 albums over the span of 40, 50 something years. He passed away in 2015. His influence on music was great for many reasons. And I'm talking about David Bowie. Now, David Bowie's rise to fame in the late 60s with his self-titled debut album. He did a next album called Space Oddity with a song that you all know, Ground Control to Major Tom, all that stuff. But it wasn't until Ziggy Stardust and Spiders from Mars, that album really catapulted him into fame. Now, David Bowie growing up was a prodigious artist. His teachers always said that his drawing, his painting, his dancing was fantastic. And so it's no surprise that as a musician, he incorporated a lot of art into his music. Just as a side note, he had two different colored eyes, and people always wonder how that happened. Well, he actually got into a fight with his friend when he was a young lad and scratched the cornea of his eye. And he had to have a couple, 2 or 3 or 4 surgeries to try and fix it. He didn't go blind, but through those surgeries, the pupil dilated and changed the color of it. And so, just interesting. I can just imagine the stir that Ziggy Stardust caused. He came up with a character that he put on stage, and he presented himself as this character singing songs about music that came from outer space. And so that artistic development, with the music was pretty cool, actually, pretty ahead of its time. And I'm just going to quickly talk about some of the eras, some of the timeline of Bowie's music. I don't have Ziggy Stardust. I do have a stack of Bowie albums. But the thing about Bowie's music is, if you're a fan, you're a fan. If you're not, you're not. There's not a lot of in-betweens with Bowie. I'm a fan because what I do with his music, what I do with a lot of music, is critical listening. Now, what is critical listening? If you look at a painting, you can see the background, you can see the foreground, you can see the colors, the detail. You can see everything in it, and it forms the picture. Some people just see the picture, some people see the details of the picture. I see the details. Now with music, when I listen to music, I'm listening to the pieces of the music, the orchestration, and then it comes together for me as a song. And what I would recommend you do, listen to one of your favorite songs and go onto YouTube and find a track that isolates one of the instruments. So just listen to the guitar, or just listen to the vocals, or just listen to the piano. And then listen to the song again and try and listen for it. And you'll see what I mean. David Bowie's music, we all know a lot of the stuff on the radio, and it's great. Again, some of it is overplayed. But there was a lot of his music that I'm sure you don't know about that is fantastic. And you have to take Bowie's music and listen to it in the critical sense in the pieces so that the whole sound picture can form. And that's why I love his music, because there's so much going on and it's so cool. So I'm going to run through some of the albums I have. Bowie's Pinups. This came out after Ziggy Stardust. Huge cocaine addiction, burned out, and this is kind of a forgettable album. This is a cover album, so not really his best. Some other ones, Aladdin Sane, a fantastic album. You probably won't know a lot of the songs on this record, but some of you might. But it's called Aladdin Sane. If you zoom in on that, Aladdin Sane. It was actually called that because Bowie was going through a massive mental breakdown at the time. Aladdin Insane. Moving on from his career, from his early stuff, Bowie started to suffer, like I said, cocaine addiction and things like that. And he moved to Berlin to record 3 classic albums. They call it the Berlin Trilogy. This is the best work that Bowie's ever done. One of those albums was Low. David Bowie recorded Low. He also recorded, I think it was Heroes as well in Berlin. But Bowie collaborated with Brian Eno from Roxy Music. And Brian Eno was a fantastic electronic keyboardist and producer, and still is. And Bowie's 3 albums of that period were brilliant. And if you get a chance, listen to Low. The first side of the record is more your mainstream rock with electronic fusion. Second side is all electronic and a fantastic album. Heroes, another great album. Everybody knows the song Heroes. Fantastic. We've got a couple more changes. As another, Never Let Me Down. This is his worst. Don't even bother with that. It's garbage. The last album of note that he did that was really great. Oh, actually, I forgot about Young Americans. Young Americans was done not too long after Aladdin Sane, and he changed his style. Bowie's style changed from album to album, from track to track. You'd think you'd be getting a similar album the next album. Probably not. He completely changed it up. And Young Americans is a really cool album, and I love the song Young Americans. It's fantastic, especially with the brass in it. What else we got here? Scary Monsters and Creeps, great album too. And then of course the last one I'll talk about, well, not maybe the last one, but this one here, Let's Dance. Everybody knows Let's Dance. Let's Dance, China Girl, Modern Love. This is when I started getting into Bowie. It was the mainstream rock stuff, and it's a lot of fun. The first half of this album is fantastic. The second half is trash, unfortunately. But as it is with some of Bowie's music, he had some great stuff, and then he had some stuff where he just experimented and went off, and it didn't click. But Let's Dance, actually, the first side is a fantastic album. Briefly talking about what he did in the 90s and the early 2000s, he came out with some good stuff. He started to get back to, after Let's Dance, he tried to do another album kind of in the same vein, and it tanked pretty good. It wasn't a great album. But his stuff that he did in the 90s and early 2000s, all the way up to the mid 2000s, was pretty good. He started to harken back to his kind of rock elements, and he did some pretty good stuff. I was actually able to catch his reality tour, which was a fantastic concert. He wasn't jumping on amplifiers and running around, but he never did. It was just the presence of Bowie on stage that was pretty cool. He pioneered glam rock, art rock. He did a lot of stuff that influenced a lot of musicians. And up until his death in 2015, he did his last album called Black Star. He knew he was dying. He knew he was going to die. And it was his swan song to the world. And Black Star is actually a very good album if you get a chance to listen to that. So yeah, he did some amazing stuff. Bowie will be missed. There's some of Bowie stuff I really don't dig, but there's some stuff that I really do. Prodigious artist, fantastic, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed the review. So I don't know what we got coming up next. I think we're probably still in the bees, but hey, I hope you're enjoying. Catch you next time.